And I'm going to be introducing you our FilSwan client tool. And our FilSwan client tool provides many functions, such as encrypting and decrypting files, generating car files, whether with Lotus or not, generating metadata and saving it to a metadata CSV file, processing deals, and generating a final CSV, which contains additional information for the provider to import deals, and also synchronize tasks on the FilSwan platforms. Last but not least, we launched the AutoBid mode last month. You can send deals automatically to AutoBid storage providers. Before we get started, there are several basic concepts needs to be explained. First, our FilSwan client tool is designed for clients who want to sign offline deals, and the size of an offline deal can be up to 32 gigabytes. There are two types of tasks, a public task and a private task. A private task is used to send deals to a specific provider, while a public task is a deal set, and it's opening for bidding. After a storage provider wins the bid, the task owner needs to send the task with the file to the storage provider winner. Okay, let's go through the whole process of the FilSwan client tool. For safety reasons, you can encrypt and decrypt your files, and this step is totally optional. Next, we can officially start the process of sending offline deals by generating car files. You could do this with or without Lotus. The next step is to upload car files to a web server or an IPFS server. If you choose to upload your car files to a web server, you have to do it manually. Otherwise, you can upload the files to an open IPFS server by using FilSwan client. Now that everything is ready, you can start the most important part, sending out the deals. You have two options. Here, you can either create a private task if you already have a desired provider in mind, or create a public task if you want it open for bidding. Let's say I send a deal directly to a provider, which means I have created a private task. FilSwan client tool will give a random task name for private task. On the other hand, if you want, you can create a public task. You can name a task on your own. While the task is being created, a metadata CSV is being created at the same time. It contains more content for creating the task proposal in this step. All the public tasks will be listed on the browser task page for providers to bid on. Once you have found a suitable provider, you can run the deal command to send out the deal to the selected provider. A corresponding deal final CSV with deals details will be generated to the given directory after sending the deals. On the task deal page, both the provider ID and the deal's ID will be filled. Last but not the least, we are happy to announce that we launched the AutoBid mode last month. The AutoBid mode has multiple advantages. It's a suite of automated deals handling solutions. In the AutoBid mode, you don't have to manually bid on the task. And for the client, you don't have to query about the providers before you send in the deals. And you don't have to manually send the deals to the bid winning providers. All the processes are automatically done by the AutoBid mode. It automatically adds AutoBid tasks and providers into an integrated deal pool. Automatically match AutoBid tasks with suitable providers, mainly based on reputation system and weighted random sampling. It automatically sends AutoBid deals to the assigned providers. Let's talk about the AutoBid workflow. It's pretty similar to the manual task sending workflow. You can use the FilSwan client tool to create public tasks with AutoBid mode on. Say you have 3 tasks with AutoBid mode on, and all the 3 tasks will go into the market maker and the market maker, and will assign the task to the suitable providers. All the providers are selected based on its reputation score, and all the process are automatically done. The auto-bid mode will help you to send auto-bid bills to the assigned providers. Here, I want to give you a video about the FilSwan client tool, and you can see it is a tutorial, and you can follow it step by step.
Functions such as encrypting and decrypting files, generating CAR files, whether with Lotus or not, generating metadata and saving it to a metadata CSV file, proposing
Sorry, let's try it again.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to be showing you our FilSwan client tool. Our FilSwan client tool provides many functions such as encrypting and decrypting files, generating CAR files, whether with Lotus or not, generating metadata and saving it to a metadata CSV file, proposing deals and generating a final CSV, which contains additional information for the provider to import deals, and finally, synchronizing tasks on the FilSwan platform. Before we get started, there are several basic concepts that need to be explained first. Our FilSwan client tool is designed for clients who want to send offline deals. The size of an offline deal can be up to 32 gigabytes. We suggest creating a CSV file. Here's an example. In the FilSwan project, a task can contain up to 100 offline deals. There are two types of tasks, a public task and a private task. A public task is a deal set for open bidding. After a storage provider wins the bid, the task owner needs to send the task with the files to the storage provider winner. A private task is used to send deals to a specific provider. Before you get started using the FilSwan client tool, some installation is necessary. First, run the apt-get upgrade command to download the package file lists from the repositories and update them. Then run the apt-get upgrade command to fetch new versions of the packages existing on the machine. Next, install Git and Git clone project from our GitHub repo, FilSwan/FilSwan client. While it's finishing, enter the FilSwan client folder. Run the sh-install.sh command to install a virtual environment and then activate it. Now the FilSwan client tool is all set. For safety reasons, you can encrypt and decrypt your files. This step is not obligatory, but if needed, I'll take you through this process step by step. Before encrypting or decrypting the files, you'll need to generate a file that contains the password you have picked. This file will be kept in the FilSwan client folder. Whether you are encrypting or decrypting a file, the FilSwan client is very simple. You need to define the input file and the output file. And lastly, attach the password file. In my case, I created a test folder for the original files, an encryption folder for encrypted files, and a decryption folder for decrypted files. To encrypt, I input the original file in the test folder, output it to the encryption folder, and named it swantask.enc. To decrypt, I input the swantask.enc file in the encryption folder and output it to the decryption folder and named it swantask.zip. Next, we can officially start the process of sending deals offline by generating CAR files. You could do this with or without Lotus. First, I'll show you the option with Lotus. Enter FilSwan client folder, then paste the command and define the input and output directories. Note here the input and output directories should only be in the absolute path format. The output directory can also be specified in the config file. In my case, I created a car folder for car files. The other option is without Lotus. Make sure Go is available before starting. Enter the Swan client folder, then paste the command and define the input and output directories. However, the input and output directories here do not necessarily have to be in the absolute format. Meanwhile, a manifest CSV file will be generated in the same output directory. In my case, I created a Go car folder for the car files. After the car files are generated, the next step is to upload it to a web server or an IPFS server in order for providers to download your car files. To upload to a web server, you will need to upload the files manually. Otherwise, you can upload the files to a local IPFS server by using Swan Client. You need to make sure you are running an IPFS server locally. If you choose to use this method, remember to edit your IPFS gateway in the config file. Now that everything is ready, we can start the most important part, sending out the deals. You will have two options here. You can either create a private task if you already have a desired provider in mind, or create a public task if you want it open for bidding. First, we need to edit the config file. In the main section, the IP key and access token are available on the FilSwan website. This part can be ignored if offline mode is activated in the sender section. Also, you need to choose your storage server type here. Depending on which server you will be using, choose either the web server or IPFS server. In the sender section, you need to modify multiple parameters such as output directory, public deal, wallet, max price, and etc. Then save those changes. Finally, run the task command to send out the deal. In this case, I sent a deal directly to a provider, which means I have created a private task. This tool will give you a random task name for private tasks. Now, when logging into my account, we can see the first task on top is the one I just sent on the task deal page. On this page, you can easily find the deal CID, the payload CID, deal status, and etc. Now I will show you an example of a public task. First, edit the config file by setting it to a public deal. For me, nothing else needs to be changed. Now run the task command to create a task. If you want, you can make a task name during this step. While the task is being created, a meta CSV file is being created at the same time. It contains more content for creating the task proposal in the next step. Let's go check my account. We can see the first task on top is the public task I just created. There's neither a provider ID nor a deal CID. The task is also listed on the Browse Task page for providers to bid on. Once you have found a suitable provider, you can run the deal command to send out the deal to the selected provider. Let's go back to the task deal page. Both the provider ID and deal CID have now been filled. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So do you have any questions about the Swan client tool? Okay, it seems it's good for everyone to go. So let's talk about the next topic, the FS3. So FS3 stands for Filecoin Simple Storage Service. It is a middleware that lies between Filecoin and Amazon Web Service Network. It also can be considered as a Filecoin and S3 compatible storage gateway. At present, Most cloud users are accustomed to using the object storage service provided by the S3 software development kit, such as website hosting, machine learning data storage, and video content editing. The size of the storage ranges from terabytes to petabytes. So FS3 makes it possible for industrial users to migrate large-scale data to the Filecoin network without redesigning the system. FS3 provides services include S3 compatible storage, Filecoin payment, and multiple storage provider backup. There are multiple features for FS3. So basically, as I said, it's a gateway between a Filecoin and S3 compatible storage. You can use FS clone to migrate data from other cloud storage vendors. You can upload or download files and share with others. You can backup files or folders as deals paid by wallet. You can list the history of files or folders for retrieval after you send in the deals. Also, we have several projects ongoing. Mainly, we are focused on adding the auto-bid mode into the FS3. And also, we want to retrieve all or part of a deal. We also want to backup and rebuild the whole FS3 volumes. And for some regions, small files need to be batched into a large file. So we also want to add on a batch mix for small files into a large file. There are mainly 3 usage scenarios for FS3: industrial users, ecosystem developers, and hosted platforms. For industrial users, it includes enterprise users and individual users. Their needs include uploading videos, hosting FS3's application storage host, and etc. FS3 can handle both structured and unstructured data, including log files, artifacts, backups, container images, photos, and videos. With minimal migration work, industrial users can easily adapt to the new product environment and back up their files to Filecoin network with one click at any time. Ecosystem developers include individual developers and application developers that use S3 or Amazon Web Services. Developers can use FS3 as a container-based case layer to directly connect with Filecoin. They can also deploy images to Amazon S3 or other cloud services to support communications with Filecoin. Hosted platforms refer to cloud platforms hosting data storage. When these hosted platforms execute upload or download operations on some of their existing S3 compatible products, they can be directly transferred to FS3 through FilSwan. FS3 has a similar user interface, and other tools such as SDK are all compatible. For these hosted platforms, they can directly move from traditional S3 cloud storage to FS3 hosting without much secondary development. FilSwan will provide this data to different storage providers. For platforms like PowerGate and FilSwan, they can easily add it as a service component integrated to their current infrastructure. We also provide customers cloud platform migration services for these cloud-hosted platforms. So let's talk about the whole process. So FS3 provides 2 ways to back up to the Filecoin network. One is online signing, and the other one is offline signing. The online mode will immediately execute the user's backup request, and the user may pay relatively high fees. In the offline signing scenario, the user's request will be packaged into a large file and hosted to a storage provider through offline import. Either way, the user will send these deals to various storage providers with one click on the UI interface. After sending successfully, the user will get a series of CID, namely content CID. And this is a hash code that represents the data stored on the Filecoin network. In the futures, users can retrieve the dataset from the storage provider based on this CID storage code. And we have 2 versions of F3. That is standalone FS3 and hosted FS3. For standard FS3s, we provide UI tools and command line tools. You can basically the deals are sent using Swan client. Users can retrieve single files from the standalone FS3. Well, for hosted FS3, it's hosted in FilSwan platforms. We use batch mix to send deals. And for this part, we're still ongoing, but we will be launching it soon. The advantage of S3 is it makes it much easier for developers to use Filecoin network storage space. It ensures that both the APP and Web 3.0 software developers, as well as traditional large data storage providers, can easily migrate data files to the Filecoin network at a low cost or even free. Besides, the technical cost is highly reduced, so that developers can easily access the IPFS network and then perform data file permanent storage services and download services. Here is an example of the UI. From this page, you can see there is a white crossing at the right bottom corners. You can use that icon to create a bucket or upload files. On the top right, you can see there is a fox face, and you can use that icon to connect to MetaMask for payment. And we provide, as I have said, both online deal and offline deals to send deals to the storage providers. You can choose your desired provider ID or select it from our database. You can set up price, durations, and the verified deal type. All the deal histories will be listed below the files you have already sent. Here, I want to give a live demos about our UI. So let's start from the beginning. Upload the files from our local directory to the FS3. Here, I've already created a bucket named demo. You can create any bucket if you want. Let's see, there's no deals because we haven't sent it right now. Let's give it a try to send it an online deal using this demo zip. I say I want to send it to a miner called T03354. And I want to set up the price to 0.0005. And I want to store it for 180 days. I want the deal to be unverified, and also I want it to be fast retrieval. It's only one click to send the deals. Here, you can see the transaction has been successfully sent, and the deal's ID has shown below. It can be copied for later usage. That's for the time considerations. I will skip the backup of the whole folders, but it's pretty similar. You can choose the miner ID and the price and the durations. After sending the deals, you can see they are already showing the history of the deal histories. I think I might misclick twice last time. So there are two deals here. And in the futures, we will provide functions to give users retrieval buttons so that you can retrieve your deals from the storage provider. Yeah, that's pretty much of it. And any question here?
Thanks, Guohao. Okay, now let's welcome Charles Cao, the founder of FilSwan. Charles Cao was previously employed in IBM, Autodesk, Expedia. He's also a Filecoin ambassador, Miner X Follow, Filecoin community champion, data retrieval market builder. Right now, he's currently leading a 20-member team working on building an edge computing storage network on Filecoin. Chao also builds the largest Filecoin storage provider in North America with 2 data centers, over 20 PB storage capacity. For today's event, Charles Chao will give us a speech about FilSwan future development plan and road trip. Okay, let's welcome Charles Chao.
Hi, everyone. It's really an honor to working with you guys and has this great opportunity to talk about what we have now and the plan for future. So first one is the designed as the edge storage and the computing platform based for Web 3.0. It is a unique opportunity we have as today to working with the world's largest decentralized storage project, Filecoin. Filecoin has more than 3 EB storage with 3,000 plus nodes over the world, and most of them also provide DR processing services. Here is the number currently we have. With the FilSwan platform, we already have over 300,000 DR stored on our platform. We have more than 10 created data set with our node. We also have more than 400 terabyte data stored on the MBFS node, which is working closely with FilSwan in Montreal. The clients we have been touched and building connections is over 100. And we also have a close relationship with 550 storage provider installed our software. So we will be able to provide excellent services and unique software for the future support. But that's not enough. We are aiming at provide enterprise level solutions for industry. It will be a framework and a solution can support both in Web 2.0 industries leaders going to the blockchain industry, as well as blockchain companies accelerate their development and the data processing speed. Here is the end user runtime workflow, which is working currently in most companies. This is what Web 2.0 enterprise is doing. They have their own data solution architecture. They have their business solution architecture. They also have their developers who building different kinds of solutions to provide service connected to external world. As long as they're expert at building the solutions, they currently just deploy on a server, and the user can open their browser, reach to the edge service providing, either like load balancer, gateways, or different API to fetch the content that they want. At this point, people won't feel any difference with 2.0 and 3.0. What is really different is behind the scene, and this is what we are working here. Behind the scene, we have lots of data is transferring. In enterprise solution, everything is about data. How we gather data, how we collect the data, how we analyze data, and how we deliver the final result of processed data. The data scientist working with software engineer will start querying data from the network or from the internal data source. They need to get the data processed and inject variant of database like MySQL database, PostgreSQL database, NoSQL database, and whatever it is. They need to put all those data, either raw data or processed data, to the processor server. Some companies using solutions as AWS for their fast storage access. That's why in most companies, they rely on the cloud. But some companies also building S3 compatible service locally, like a mini service running at the local instance, but they still synchronize with remote backups from time to time. With FilSwan, we provide an integrated solution with blockchain to let them have the same feeling using AWS, but also benefits from the cloud advantages. The way we are performing is dramatic. We developed the FS3 components, which is enable you to build a bridge between the blockchain backup archive storage and the local fast access storage. With FS3, it's a two-way bridges. On one side, they connect you with AWS and Google other service provider. On the other hand, it gives you a local instance running. It's a container-based services, so you can easily add your storage, add your user, increase your volume, and back up to the network. Instead of backup to AWS archive cluster services, here we are backup it to the Filecoin network. The Filecoin network is building over thousands of nodes across the world, which is much better than AWS, since AWS only have 20 data centers in the world with less than 100 geolocations. With Filecoin, you can easily span up to 1,000. But the difference with AWS is, with Filecoin, AWS is paid by US dollar. Whatever it is, whatever currency you have, they don't care. At the end, all your service transferred to US dollar. But here, the service provider is using cryptocurrency. You have choice to pay with different currency you want. They can be Filecoin, it can be USDT, it can be USDC, it can be BSC, it can be Matic. With this powerful wallet solutions, they give you the advantage, access the storage, and retrieve your data from different geolocations without limitation. You don't need to worry about your bank account. You don't need to worry about your cash access. Everything is across the world. We also provide enterprise level of security encryption to make sure when your data stored on blockchain is secure. Nobody except you can access the data. One of the simplest solutions we provide is you can use your own wallet as your encryption key. That other teams in Filecoin system also provide a decentralized identity project, which is recently set up on the GitHub. The setup of the sender, we are working with the teams who is developing those features. After everything is ready, back again to the normal processing about the application level. Then on the edge services, previously like you may be using Nginx or other load and balance service provider to make your service online, but here we can use IPFS. IPFS is a P2P web server network. When you see one content on the IPFS, it gradually distributed your content globally. The interesting part about IPFS is because it's open source and purely free. Everyone can get access to the data easily. It also has a built-in content delivery system to allow you easily fetch the data from your region node. So with all these solutions components together, we built one of the most interesting business solution network for blockchain storage. Here is a service we are going to release before the Q1 2022. We already have the IPFS Filecoin storage service online. Previously, we already introduced about the IPFS cache layer, the FS3 integration, the encryption and decryption services, and also the permanent archive storage on the network. Though the newly developed auto bid function also give you a scheduler to back up your files vision based. You can have your backup daily, monthly, or quarterly. It's all depends on you and how much you want to pay. The more copies you have, the much you need to pay. So this is a pay-as-go service as nowadays with a Web 2. You don't feel much difference. The later service is one of the most interesting features we used for cross-continent deployment and distribution. Where you have data want to send across continent, you not just simply send it to the different continent, but you also have a different contract agreement with compatible of the regulations on this region. For example, when you have a storage deal saved in Europe and in Canada, it will be two different storage deals. Even though you have the same piece ID, same content, but the GDPR is different. You need to include this GDPR contracts with your ledger to make sure you have the agreement between you and the storage provider. If you violate any policies, your funds should be deducted from the contract to compatible with the local government law. Another interesting part is the payment gateway to enable you the different way of payment. We're using Oracle technology to prove that the data is online, so users on other blockchains can benefit from the Filecoin archive storage. We also have an interesting edge computing service is going to be online. The edge computing service is used for accelerate the metaverse development. We help developers, artists films, gaming industry people converting their assets or features to NFT. While they are doing the NFT, we also help them to pre-process some data. Data without, for example, in deep learning area, data without labeling is really low value. You can have data processed on our platform, then make it NFT for exchanges. You can also make your video asset become NFT asset as well. You can use our service as a content delivery provider to building contracts with different providers to enable them the capability of distributed the storage for you. This is the interface we already have for FS3. The team is actually working on putting a new version of FS3, which will enable you to doing the backups real time. This is a second stage of the FS3. It will give you the capability to synchronize and backup storage source, not just the S3, but also Google and the other source. The new component as a connector is FS Clone. So the new product of FS Clone will enable your capability with integrator multi-source to FS3, and you can batch mix and deliver it to your clients and Filecoin network. As long as you have all the storage, cache layer, payment layer ready, you will be granted the power to using the computing as a service. This is a prototype we have with notebook. You'll be able to training the image recognition by the accelerated GPU resource from different storage provider node. You'll be able to play with those cute monkeys and know what are their species. Here is the entire roadmap we're going to have for the coming year. We already successfully developed the DR market in Q2. In Q3, we are actually working on the payment gateway and the ledger services. In Q4, the cross-chain part with payment will be online. And you'll be able to start try the ledger service with different contracts, include with the storage. The CDN service will be ready early next year, while you will also have the edge computing ready before the Q2 of 2020. Those are all the resources you can access on our website. Our major website is the GitHub. They have the README, has everything there. You can go check the upgrades, updates, and all our daily work. You are also encouraged to open tickets if you try some product and find something need to improve. With storage provider, that's one of the most useful tools for Filecoin storage provider. If you really want to get a verified deals with 10+ capability, this is the one you need to install. We also have a Twitter account where regularly put our release. If you want to catch up with our latest feature, latest activities, or some challenges or hackathons, workshops, you can follow us and feel free to leave comments if you have some suggestions. FilSwan Slack is one of the most useful place our developers are daily working. So if you want to have some discussion or you have something like not working well on your local environment, you can feel free to open a discussion on the Slack. Another useful tool is the documentation. We have Swan documentation ready for you to use. You can find our latest release, find our latest document about how to install everything there. Discord is a new place we opened. You can, if you want to find me and you want to watch what I'm doing in my spare time, you can always go to the Discord. Yeah, that is pretty much. And thanks everyone.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Just for your information, if you want to join us on social medias, please take a screenshot. We're going to have a career fair shortly. Okay. If you're interested in about FilSwan, please feel free to join us on social medias. And for the career fair, right now we have opening positions. Right now we are hiring account managers, marketing manager, blockchain developer, system administrator, and CMO right now. If you do have your resume in hand, please feel free to send us to email. Okay, thank you everyone for joining our today's event. Please let us know if you have any questions. Okay, thank you.